Hi there. So you have an NC700 and you want to change the oil. Do you really need the service manual to do this? No, not really. Do you need special oil? No, not really. But you should know where you're going to put it when you're done with it and how you're going to deal with it later on. Here's the oil that I used for my NC700. It is not that expensive. You don't have to go to the dealership for it, and you could buy it at any local auto store. Here's where I'm going to put the oil when I'm done with it. And I'm going to take this to my local oil reclamation center to have it recycled. Here are my really old tools that I'm going to use to take the bike apart and put it back together. It's not all that terribly hard, and I don't need a torque wrench. Here's the Honda service manual, which I'm going to read first. Then I'm going to decide it's too confusing and then close it up and put it away. Here's my oil drain tub. I'm going to put this under the bike to catch the oil and hopefully not make a big mess. You can use ordinary hand tools, but I like to use this because it's a little faster. But keep in mind that you have to be extra careful when you tighten the bolts because you don't want to cross-thread them. Here are the cleanup rags I'm going to use. I could use any old rag to clean up the oil, but I can purchase these at the auto store and my wife won't get mad. This is my engine guard. We're going to remove the engine guard by removing 2 bolts from the back and 4 pop pins from the front very carefully. We don't want to break the pop pins, which are part of the engine guard. On the left side of the motor, you're going to find a hex bolt. It is right here. You're going to have to remove this hex bolt and the one on the other side to remove this engine guard. You're going to find another hex bolt. That hex bolt is right here. You're going to have to remove that hex bolt. Set the torque appropriately on your drill gun. Set the trigger switch to counterclockwise and remove the bolt. Don't push firmly when using the trigger to remove the bolt. Let the bolt come back out on its own. Let the bolt drop. Remove the left bolt from the engine guard. Let it fall out. The left bolt is very different than the right bolt. Make sure you know which one is which. Gently pull on the left side of the shield. You're going to feel this pop pin pop out. Gently pull on the left side of the shield and you're going to feel the forward pop pin pop out. Here you're going to find the 4 pop pins for your shield. If you oil the grommets for these pop pins, you're going to find this a lot easier next time you remove your engine guard. The manual has a long list of different volumes for the oil during the oil change. This can get rather confusing. We're here on the lawn because I can't stop the air conditioning from kicking over. But here we've marked the bottle at 3.75 quarts. That is where the oil will need to be when we're done filling the engine casing. Always have a proper place to dispose your motor oil. I use an old cat litter tub. Then I can take the motor oil to the oil reclamation site. Anything you touch that's got motor oil in it will probably transfer motor oil to your hands. So anything you touch after that will have motor oil on it. Wait a second, did I touch the camera? Oh no. Carefully remove the top plug from your oil change pan and then pour the oil out into your tub. Place the oil tub in your wife's car and drive it to the oil reclamation site. Take a rag with you because everything you touch is going to have oil on it. Spray out the nooks and crannies with a little all-purpose cleaner. You probably want to get in here real good with a brush and try and get the bugs out. Here in America, Simple Green is a very good product for cleaning the inside of your engine guard because it seems to remove just about everything other than that shield. Use the spray cleaner on the inside and outside of the guard. Wipe the road tar off your guard. and then reinstall it. When cleaning your engine guard, you must be aware that it's tied together with these plastic pins. If you rub too hard or really work at this thing too hard, chances are you're going to loosen this thing up so that it's not going to fit right when you reinstall it. So don't wrestle with your engine guard. Just clean it lightly and everything will go just fine. Take a little dab of your wife's motor oil, work the motor oil around each and every one of the pins so you get it on all sides. Keep working at it so that each one of the pins is very lubricated. You're going to find grommets under here. This is a grommet from a home store. I cut it to fit. It now works just fine, but I have to make sure it's in the right place before I reinstall my shield. Lift the guard past the other side of the bike and lift it into place. Make sure that the pop pins inside line up with the grommets. I'm going to lift this in and sight in the other grommet. Once you have the forward grommets in, lift the side grommets into place and snap the shield into position. The easy way to know that the shield is in position is this hole will line up. Once you have 3 out of the 4 in place, the last one should line up and simply fall into place, but you can double check it. I can feel that snapping into place. The last bolt is lined up, so now we can install the bolt. Gently turn the bolt in. Make sure it goes all the way in until it is snug. If you get resistance, that means it's cross-threaded, and that's the last thing you want. Back the bolt out and restart it if it's cross-threaded. That bolt is now all the way in. Gently install the other bolt into its hole and carefully thread it into place. Whoops, that won't go in. What's wrong? Well, I'm not eyeballing this real well, so I'm going to change my body position. Check to make sure that the hole is just right. Remember, this is a plastic part going onto a metal part. Take the bolt, realign it, and gently turn it into its hole. So I had to line up my eyesight with that hole so I could get that thread started. Otherwise, this could be a real mess. I can see that that is now snug. That's a very short bolt. That did not take a lot of turns. Hand pressure only. Snug the bolt down and then pull on your guard. Everything should be fine. I want to talk about some special tools. We're going to do a voiceover on this. You need a 12mm socket, a special wrench to remove the oil filter, and a funnel on the end of some kind of tube. In this case, it's some copper tubing from my plumbing kit. Take a moment and break the drain bolt free with a 12mm socket. Okay. You bought a tool and they said it might work, and you're trying it out. And you realize that when you bought the tool, the tolerances on it are crap. Don't use that tool for your drain bolt. Use it for your filter. The tolerances for the filter are fine. Tolerances for the drain bolt are absolutely terrible. Don't strip your drain bolt. Now that your oil filter is clean, put the wrench on it and get the oil filter started. Don't remove the oil filter entirely. You're going to be sliding your oil pan underneath. Make sure that that's right on the edge. Now you can whack that with your hand counterclockwise or you can whack it with a hammer. Now that's on there pretty good, so I'm going to get a hammer and whack that off. I'm going to try and hold the shot steady. And that's moving. Put down your hammer and remove the wrench, slide everything out, and put your drain pan underneath everything so that when you remove the bolt and the filter, you don't make a mess. Slide your oil pan under the bike. When draining your oil, it's a good idea to crack open the dipstick. This will help the oil fill a little better. But don't pull the dipstick out, leave it in. That'll keep any bugs or anything else from falling in there while you're working. Now that your oil filter is somewhat hand loose, unscrew your oil filter with your hand and let the oil drain out. You can see I've started that oil draining. Once it's begun, very slowly spin the filter off and then drop it out of your hands because you're silly. Okay, so that is correct. Let the oil filter sit there and let the oil drain out of that area. Double check and make sure that it's clean while you're in there. I'm actually using my camera to do that. And that's fine. Now we need to get access to the drain bolt and drain the oil pan. Because I'm not a regular mechanic and I don't have that much exposure to petroleum products, I'm going to reach in behind the engine case there and unspin the drain bolt for the oil, which is behind that blob of mud. I'm going to see if I can feel it and see it. No, probably not. Spin the bolt off. Access it any way you can. Because it's finger tight, I can just pull it out and drop it, and all the oil will come out. See, that's draining just fine. And there's my drain bolt. No problems there. And there goes the oil. Wow, that's a lot of oil. Success. Success. Take your oil filter out. Check the gasket to make sure it wasn't torn or anything. You can always tell if your mechanic's doing a good job by how this might look. See if you can see anything unusual, like any debris, that's usually found in the oil when you try and filter it out. But that looks fine. And this is a filter that's installed by Honda at the dealer. So I'm going to replace an exact match. I should not have a problem with that. We're just about ready to reinstall the drain plug as the motor is dripping a little bit. What I'm going to do is pull the drain pan out. I'm going to slide a rag in and reinstall the drain bolt exactly the way it is, which seems to be in good condition. Slide out your oil pan and slide in a rag. Reinstall the drain bolt. Spin it in with your fingers first, and then hand tighten only with a wrench. Only hand tighten. Sit down your oil filter, get a little bit of motor oil, and add it to the gasket. If there's any dirt, make sure that dirt is off the gasket. Make sure the gasket is very, very clean. This is the same filter that I removed, only this is a new one from the dealer. Take a little time and wipe. You don't need to wipe the inner part, just the outer part. Make sure it's clean. Get your filter, make sure that there's no dirt on the gasket anywhere. Turn the filter, line it up. Be very careful when starting the threads, clockwise of course. Be patient, eventually you'll get it. You can see that that's spinning on just fine. Now I have a lot of confidence that that's going to be okay. You can see I used a rag to get a little bit more grip on that. Now I'm going to go get the wrench, come back, and tighten it one more time. Take your wrench, put it on about 1/4 of an inch in, and give it a pull. Oh yeah, that's good. Give it a couple more pulls just to be sure. You can see it's still moving. And that should be good right there. Here's something they never tell you about. Take a little oil and put it on your finger. And oil up the grommets where those plastic pins go. And that'll pop in a lot easier when you go and assemble the shield. Wipe up any remaining oil, pull your tools out, and you're ready for assembly. 3.6 quarts. Figure out a way to get this from here into there. Get creative and make yourself a funnel on a stick. Always be ready for a spill. Tie your funnel to the side of the motor. Make it nice and pretty. Begin pouring your motor oil very slowly until you've reached the right amount. Take your dipstick, make sure it is clean. Reinstall it into the motor. Gently back it off a little bit and then turn it back in. The thread should align and it should go in correctly, and just snug it up gently. And that is correct.